Welcome to Mission Oriented, a VeteranCrowd podcast that showcases veteran talent from both the private and public sectors. Their impact is everywhere. We are here to uncover it. Here's your host, Bob Louthen.
Welcome to the Mission Oriented podcast on the VeteranCrowd Network. My guest today, David Jones, founder of Bull City Ventures. David's a 1993 graduate of the U.S. Naval Academy and has an MBA from UNC, Keenan Flagler School, a Naval Aviator, flew the P-3 Orion back in his day, and good friend of ours. I've I think you and I sat on a panel originally years ago, maybe at Patriot Boot Camp, if my memory serves me correctly, the first time we met. So, David, thank you for being on the program. Really excited to get in touch with you again.
Thank you for having me, Bob. I'm super excited about it, and look forward to seeing where this goes.
You know, we're going to be together in a few weeks out in San Francisco at the MilVet Startup Conference. I had a great time last year. What do you think about this conference? I mean, kind of rolling into it.
I agree with you, Bob. I think last year was a little bit eye-opening for me. I think it is the conference to be at for entrepreneurs and investors, as it relates to the veteran community, and it's only grown, right? I mean, see the list of people coming this year, so I am super excited about it. The speaker list is double what it was last year, so really excited.
The question isn't why should you go? It's why aren't you going to be there, I guess is the way I would put it. Hey, tell everybody a little bit about your background and let's talk a little bit about what you do at Bull City Ventures.
So yeah, Bob, you talked a little bit about the background. So was in the Navy for almost 10 years, and then went to business school and joined my partner. And we have been running venture funds, Bull City Venture Partners, for almost 20 years now. And so Bull City Venture Partners I always describe it as old school venture capital, what they were doing in the late 90s. And that is smaller funds, big belief in smaller funds, investing at the earliest stages. It's fairly concentrated. A lot of people with a just under $60 million fund would do this kind of spray and pray, and that's not us. It's fairly concentrated. We'll invest in 15-ish companies. And then very selfishly, the fun part, and it's probably one of the reasons why our team is so close, is we just believe that the value add to the companies is super important. It's not about making an investment and showing up for a board meeting or forgetting about them. It's on a weekly basis, talking to the companies, helping them recruit, helping them, being part of the sales pipeline, like really being active with the companies. So, we've had a good run, and most of what we do is kind of a little bit more East Coast. That said, we have a handful of West Coast companies, but yeah, investing mainly kind of at that seed and Series A stage.
Do you invest exclusively in companies that have veterans in the management team, or is that just one criteria maybe that's a positive? What's the model?
Yep. It is not exclusive to that. So we are open to investing in anybody. When we have a good 3 or 4 great stories of veterans that we have backed, and super excited to back more. Certainly, given my background, like there's a trust and confidence when I can find somebody like that. I don't need to have as many dinner meetings or lunch meetings to kind of figure that out. And for all the reasons, what all veterans, you and I have gone through, there's just they're going to work hard, they're going to fight to the death, they're going to just do the work, trustworthy. But that's not all that we do. Well, again, I would say experienced teams is one of a big criteria for us. And so that usually means, I think if you look across 4 funds, we've almost 70% of the deals have been in a team that has built and sold a company successfully before. Again, it's not a criteria, but that we certainly believe in the experienced team. We would have missed Mark Zuckerberg. We would have missed Bill Gates every time, probably.
Yeah.
It's a lot more about the experience.
So you say you got East Coast, West Coast, or a lot in the Carolinas, Mid-Atlantic, in that case, since you're out of Chapel Hill, I guess, is the proper address, even though Bull City is
Well,
15 miles away, maybe.
our office is in Durham, so I'm in
No, it
downtown.
is in Durham. Okay.
Our office
Okay.
is in downtown Durham. I happen to live in Chapel Hill. My business partner lives in Raleigh. Michael, principal on our team, lives in downtown Durham. So we invest, we call it, Bob, we call it the Mid-Atlantic and Southeast is kind of our bread and butter. Those are the markets we're hitting week after week. It's Philly, the greater DC area, obviously Northern Virginia, Charlottesville, all of North Carolina, Atlanta, Nashville. Those are the markets, again, that we are in. One of us is in every month and spending a couple of days and shaking hands and meeting other new entrepreneurs. That said, if we have a longer relationship with an entrepreneur, we'll go anywhere. We don't have any boundaries around that. So again, that's why over history, we've done 4 or 5 out in the Bay Area, 1 in New York, some in Miami. But I would say the trusting relationship with the founder needs to be a little bit stronger to do that. You got to ask the question, Bob, why am I getting a call, this North Carolina VC fund, when there are 2,000 VCs in the Bay Area, right? So if we can answer that question, then we'll certainly take a look.
Being a smaller fund, are a lot of your deals syndicated with other venture capital funds, or are you always going solo?
No, I would say mostly syndicating, but I would bet 30 to 40% of the time we're leading the seed round and then bringing somebody in maybe for the A. So we'll do a little bit of both, where there's no criteria around that. Happy to bring other people in, and most of all of our deals always need somebody else as a small fund. That said, a lot of times in the seed round, we'll come in and lead it, maybe bring in a couple of angels or another small fund, and then continue to participate in the A, but bring in somebody larger for the A round.
So let's take a look backwards to 23, 21, 22, 23. What did you see? And then the next question will be sort of the crystal ball question, but what did you see happening last year with and coming out of COVID and interest rates and all this stuff? How did that impact what you're doing, how you were thinking, the deals and how you approached them?
Yeah, 2023 I would say was a tough year. We were super fortunate in that we closed a new fund in summer of 2022. So we have a fresh new fund to invest. So, again, personally for us, we're not out there raising money right now. And as you well know, money has gotten tight. And so it's been hard for our companies. It's been difficult. We have some companies that got over their skis, as a lot of companies did. We have companies that took out debt, and debt is not a good way to fund growth. So certainly 23 was helping put out some fires. I'm proud to say, hey, we're not losing any companies. Again, it goes back to the experienced entrepreneurs, but a lot of them are going to have gone through reductions in force and just cutting back on growth estimates and just all those things. The other side of that, Bob, is we have a fresh new fund to invest in. So from that perspective, it's been fantastic. Like, it's a really good time. I believe it's a really good time to be investing in new companies.
Good time to be in the market, so to speak.
Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly. So, yeah, we made 2 new investments. I would say we're being slower. In 23, we're being a little bit slower, but we made 2 new investments, and, we're in great entrepreneurs. We got to spend time doing the real due diligence that you weren't doing in 21 and 22 because things were moving so fast. The prices were better, just all those things that really make a lot more sense. So again, the existing companies going through some machinations, but a really good time to be investing.
Well, they'll come out stronger. Okay, give me the prognostication. Put on the thinking cap here. What does the crystal ball look like for Bull City Ventures in 2024? What do you hope will happen?
Well, I hope. Bob, I'm one of those guys that goes to all those macroeconomic thing, and I try to follow all the different factors. I think it's going to be, I think there's going to be a lot of companies that come back that needed to raise capital, that raised in 21, maybe 22. They skipped 23 and they're going to come back to market in 24. And I think it's going to be, it's not going to be so pretty. I think it's going to be a flattish year. I think it's going to be probably a little bit similar to 23. Still some pain in the market, still some things flushing through. I think we'll lose some VC funds that won't be able to raise the next fund. Certainly some companies will go away. You're seeing that happen constantly. Maybe towards the end of the year, I don't know if interest rates are going to fall as quick as everybody thinks they're going to. Maybe that happens in Q3 or probably Q4 or something like that. Maybe. I'm not here to forecast that, but I think it's, again, for starting a company, I think it's going to be a great time to start a company. Harder to raise. You're going to have to, bootstrap and be scrappy, and you're not going to get 15 million for your pre-seed round like you did in 21 and 22. You're actually going to, I know. So I think it's going to be a little bit, it sounds pretty negative. I think it's going to be a little bit of a slog in the first half, and then maybe things start to open up a little bit. I don't know.
Is there an industry or a theme that you think is got favored status right now? Is there something that you think is really interesting? Everybody's talking about AI, but it could be bending metal and you know manufacturing parts.
Certainly it's funny, Bob. I was just sharing some stories with another VC fund, and everything else outside of AI is really kind of gone back to 2016, 27, normal metrics. But the AI stuff is still it's still pretty crazy. If you really are doing true AI, you're getting a magic kind of multiple there. So I would say we're looking at a lot of that stuff. All of our companies are figuring out ways to automate and do some, if they're not already doing some AI pieces to their business, they're, it's been a mandate. It's something we talk about at the board level. So, but I'll tell you what, Bob, we don't go out and say, hey, I want to find an AI company. We go find a founder that we really, really, really love.
And on the jockey.
Hopefully they're most all of them are putting a piece of AI into what they're doing. So that's less than kind of the top down. It's more of a bottom up from the founder.
Okay, so here's my final question of the day, and I hope this one doesn't land with the thud. But so Google is this really interesting thing. So when you plug in somebody's phone number and so forth, you put in your phone, it picks up a profile picture. And there's a profile picture of you that popped up. And it looks like, I got, it's impressive, but it looks like you're in a Tough Mudder or something. David, I got to know what it is. And I'm telling you, if that's a recent photo, you're taking really good care of yourself.
It is not recent. That's too funny.
Okay.
My wife tells me to get rid of that all the time. I think I put it as my Facebook profile picture 8 or 10 years ago, but I did
leave it up, man. I'm going to tell you, it's impressive.
I appreciate that. I think it was a Spartan Racer or Tough Mudder.
Okay.
I used to do a handful of those things. So yeah.
Are you still trying to stay in shape? As we are aging, I got to tell you, I've got more broken parts and parts replacement probably coming. I'm dealing with some PT and everything else for a bum shoulder. So getting old, we got to be tough, don't we?
It hurts, but yeah, I try to get after it, 4 or 5 days a week. And I do think that's important. It's important to my sanity.
Well, your wife says take the picture down. I vote that you just leave it up. I thought it was, I was like, man,
thank you.
That is looking, God darn, he's been working out.
That's old. No, that is not, that's 10 years.
But. Well, I'll give you one last shot here. How do people get in touch with you? How do you want them to reach out? How do they find out more about Bull City?
Our email addresses are right on our website, and I think that's one thing we be super transparent. I try to answer every single solitary email as best I can, and I think that's probably the best vehicle to come in. Certainly, if you can get a trusted relationship that that connects you, that probably moves you up in the stack, and I'll respond a little quicker. But try to be quick in making decisions and quick to respond.
That's good. Okay, well, we're going to put links to Bull City Ventures and how to get in touch with David on the show notes. David, I promised a short program today, and we've done 15 minutes, so we're kind of out of time. But look, I'm looking forward to seeing you in San Francisco. The first free drink at the bar is on me.
That's
How
awesome.
about that?
I look forward to it. I can't
Yeah,
wait.
it'll be fun. I know the place, the Marine Memorial, hotel is going to be busting at the seams. It's a great venue for this. Unfortunately, I think they're going to outgrow it and need a bigger venue, the way things are going. But really looking forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks out there. Thanks so much. Hey, you've been listening to the Mission Oriented podcast on the Veteran Crowd Network. Again, my guest has been David Jones, one of the founders of Bull City Ventures in Durham, North Carolina. David, thank you so much for appearing on the program. Throw a Bravo Zulu out to you, and that's a wrap.
Thank you for listening to Mission Oriented. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and you won't miss an episode. To learn more about Mission Oriented and the Veteran Crowd Network, visit us at www.veterancrowdnetwork.com.